Well, welcome to our Weather Impact Report, where we take a look at the top weather stories here in Georgia and around the nation. I'm meteorologist Danielle Moss. Well, last week, the weather in Georgia was very interesting, to say the least. We started out very dry and windy, and because of this, we had several brush fires and several fires that simply got out of control. Take a look at this. The fires were sparked by the dry and windy conditions in our state. These are new video clips that were shared with us on Monday from the Georgia Forestry Commission. The agency says close to 500 fires burned more than 6,000 acres. The commission urged residents to exercise extreme caution with outdoor activities. That could lead to new fires.
We're anticipating a very busy March. We're anticipating higher than normal fire activity through the month of March, pretty much throughout the whole state. So we're up to the task, but that's what we're preparing for.
Now, we saw several fires that simply got out of control, like one in DeKalb County, where fire crews worked for several hours after a tire shop burst into flames. It happened in Lithonia near the intersection of Panola Road and Covington Highway. As our Chase Howell learned, it spread quick, causing parts of the roadways to close down.
People pulled out their phones and started recording after hearing several loud pops and seeing black smoke pouring from a building.
I was just shocked. I was in shock because I've never seen nothing like that before, not being that big, and the noises coming from it.
The DeKalb County Fire Department says Saturday's gusty winds caused the fire to quickly spread to a nearby business, 2 homes, and greenery.
I don't even know when the next time I'll even be able to afford the things that I have in there.
Marquita Humphrey says she just loaded up a 3-bedroom townhouse into the storage facility right by the tire shop Friday. And according to her, everything in the unit is ruined.
As far as the insurance, I put the lowest coverage on there, thinking I'm protected and everything would be okay. I don't have to put that much storage, but I wish I would have put more insurance on there, because now, unfortunately, everything's burning down.
DeKalb Fire says it wasn't just the weather that prompted the 3-alarm fire call, but also the amount of tires on fire, even prompting the department to call in other stations for help.
We do have different cities and counties coming to backfill our stations with their units from their stations to make sure, again, that all the citizens of DeKalb County can be taken care of in case of an emergency.
As for what you need to know if you or someone you know is heading to the area anytime soon, DeKalb Fire says to avoid the area for now and find an alternate route. Reporting in Lithonia, Chase Howell, 11 Alive News.
Georgia was not the only place that had issues with fires. In South Carolina, evacuation orders and a state of emergency were in place as firefighters worked to contain over 175 fires that broke out, burning over 4,000 acres. The largest blaze was near Myrtle Beach, with about 1,200 acres affected. As of this weekend, the fire was only 55% contained. The latest, a South Carolina woman has been charged in connection with setting the wildfire. Ashley Listrom has more.
I feel sorry for her, but I'm glad that she's going to be held responsible.
She deserves to have consequences for her actions.
Frustration and relief mounting tonight after Bialoso allegedly started a fire Saturday in this backyard fire pit. Those that watched the fire grow tell me Bialoso appeared to be in shock as the flames jumped into the tree line, causing panic and forcing people to evacuate.
Her face was, it's like the blood had rushed out of her face, and she knew she had messed up.
It was terrifying to see, thinking when you're leaving that the neighborhood is going to be gone.
It's important to note that Horry County and the state of South Carolina were under a burn ban that day. The South Carolina Forestry Commission says Bialoso did not have an appropriate water source readily available or any garden tools on hand to control the fire.
I really feel sorry for the lady. It's, I'm sure she didn't intend for any of this to happen, but I don't excuse her for being so negligent.
The agency says the fire then spread to land owned by Walker Woods HOA and has burned now over 2,000 acres. Many are now pushing for stricter laws, saying this can't happen again.
This is taking a toll on families, on pocketbooks, on houses, on emotions, on firefighters.
Whatever she's going to face, she's going to have to deal with that.
Well, high winds played a large part in a dust storm that touched down on Thursday, impacting parts of New Mexico and Texas. According to the New Mexico Department of Transportation, parts of Interstate 10 West were closed due to blowing dust and low to zero visibility. The National Weather Service sent out a dust storm warning to all mobile devices, informing residents that the area will be impacted, and motorists were advised to be ready for a sudden drop in visibility and to pull to the side. The dust storm also prompted several flight delays or cancellations at the El Paso International Airport in Texas. A shelter-in-place order was issued for an additional airport. Well, the fire danger settled in Georgia by late Tuesday night, but that posed a new threat. A strong cold front passed through late Tuesday night and brought strong storms to Georgia Wednesday morning. Thankfully, we did not see any significant damage from the system. 11 Alive's Chase Howell had a chance to check back in with the family of an Atlanta man who lost his life about a month ago when a tree fell on his home. It's been about a month since the line of severe storms uprooted trees and wiped out power to hundreds of thousands of homes across Atlanta and changed at least one family's life forever.
It's been about 3 weeks since 61-year-old Edward Johnson died after a tree fell onto his home while he was asleep in bed.
Seeing him up under that tree was very devastating to me, and it still is. I can't sleep. I can't eat.
Diane Jones had been married to Edward for nearly 20 years before he was tragically killed.
I still see it in my mind every day, every day. It hurts a lot.
Diane not only lost her husband, but she also lost her home. Where I'm standing right now is in their backyard, and you can see where that massive tree trunk smashed into their bedroom, where it still sits, making the home uninhabitable.
I have nowhere to live, and I can't afford to keep putting money on this hotel every night. So it's been a struggle. It's really hard, really hard. I have no one to help.
Diane says no siren or warning could have prepared her for the life she's currently living.
There's no warning sirens, but there are warning signs that can be identified that may be an indication that a tree is more likely to fall.
Brian Hartman is the owner of Northside Tree Professional and a trained arborist. He says it's not only dead trees that could fall during severe weather, but so can live ones.
Any kind of fungus that's growing around the base of the tree, for your pine trees, looking up to see if they have cankers, which it's probably best to Google that. But also, if you keep an eye on your trees, if you're somebody's out in the yard a lot, just any changes in general in the trees. If you notice something funny with the bark, something going on with the leaves, something going on around the base of the tree, that's definitely an indication that you should call that certified arborist out.
Definitely a scary situation for that family. Well, check this out. A hazy orange sky over Dallas, Texas on Tuesday. Local meteorologists say it was caused by high winds, blowing dust from all of the recent droughts. It cleared up after about an hour, but still very scary to look at. Now the focus is on storm cleanup. The National Weather Service confirmed an EF1 tornado hit Irving just west of Dallas. Significant damage was also reported in nearby Louisville. Well, Georgia might have been lucky with the latest storm system that passed through, but other parts of the southeast were not. A confirmed EF2 tornado swept through Wayne County, Mississippi Tuesday night. Delaney Dukes spoke with homeowners who say they've lost houses, cars, and property, but they're still finding hope in the wreckage.
An EF2 tornado uprooting people's lives.
It's gone. There's so many things that are gone.
Scattering their world.
She said no. She said the house is gone.
But in the midst of all of this, gratitude.
That man Jesus was in there with them. Yes.
As you come down GMP Farm Road, there is lots of debris that is lining the streets, but this is just a fraction of what's to come as you continue up the road. Now, neighbors say that there are 3 homes on this property that were completely destroyed by the storm, but despite all the damage, everyone survived.
I don't know how they survived it. I really don't. They were through from one side to the from way over yonder to over here.
Now, survivors are walking through what used to be.
This was a outdoor kitchen and bathroom and storage area right here that it picked up, and obviously there's the countertop for it, and the top of it's over there in the carport area.
And recalling how quickly their world turned upside down.
It makes it more real how easily, you can lose stuff. and how easily and how quickly the weather can change with no warning.
Searching for ways to put it back together.
I was just looking for like some personal items that they need, like phone, glasses. He asked me to find his wallet and him some shoes to wear because he didn't have nothing when he went to the hospital yesterday.
Praying for what comes next.
There's so much of my life right here, and we're just gonna pick up the pieces and start all over. But they're trying to get some of the furniture.
Well, strong winds toppled trees and knocked out power to thousands of people in Madison County, Mississippi with the same system. Officials say at least 2 people were killed. One person was killed when a power line fell in a neighborhood. Ridgeland Mayor Gene McGee says the man was electrocuted. That mayor also says another person was injured as well. Madison County Deputy Coroner says the second death was a man driving when a tree fell on his car. Strong winds from the same system knocked off a portion of the roof at the jail in Clay County, Mississippi. Scary situation there. Check out that video. Authorities say jailers have been moved to 7 or 8 different facilities in the neighborhood as a result. Well, that same system was very, very strong, and it caused deadly storms to the southeast on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it also brought heavy snow. Yes, that's right, snow to places like northwest Wisconsin. The winter storm impacted a major highway in northwest Wisconsin. The highway was a mess for much of the day on Tuesday and even closed for a time overnight. This video shows how terrible the visibility was for drivers that were on the road.
It's just a lot of snow. If you're not looking at it in person, it probably doesn't do it justice because it's a lot of snow. We got dumped on pretty good.
That is right, dumped on pretty good. One thing that we don't see often in Atlanta is snow, but when it does happen, it is a big deal. In other parts of the country, they are used to snow, and most importantly, they know how to clear it. It can be very time-consuming and exhausting to shovel snow, but life could get a little easier thanks to a snow clearing robot created by a Minnesota college student. Jace's Rantala has details.
Nearly a foot of snow is the perfect test for the latest version of University of Minnesota senior Max Minikov's snow clearing robot named Novoso. Last year, we showed you how Max's Roomba-sized bot could clear driveways. This year,
we call it the tank that'll go through any environment.
Novoso had a bit of a glow up. Max showed it off Wednesday, clearing this residential sidewalk in Andover.
It honestly did a really good job. I was almost surprised myself with how good of a job it did.
Max's new commercial-grade robot was designed in his parents' shed and built with the help of some parts from overseas.
So this right here is one of our prototype controllers.
The robot is controlled with this. The cool thing is you can steer it from inside a vehicle. Novoso is now officially earning its keep. Max has 2 of these robots. He's now gained commercial and residential contract work clearing snow.
We've also been working through our first 3 purchase orders right now across the U.S. for these units and have over $1 million in letters of intent signed for units just like this to be released in the coming year.
Max is set to graduate from the U in May and hopes to make Novoso his full-time gig right out of school. He's now fundraising to get financial help to get units like these manufactured and out the door.
It's crucial to get tools like this out there so that the person who usually wouldn't be able to go out and shovel now can, because it requires less physical effort.
Well, a second strong front came through the southeast on Saturday morning, and it caused this very scary situation for people in North Texas. Many spent Sunday cleaning up and starting to rebuild after destructive storms passed through and took the life of a man. Richard Solomon spoke to people in Ellis County, not only about the damage to their properties, but the damage to their hearts.
In these pictures, you can see how much TJ Bailey loved his family. And right now, his family is hurting. Those who we met that knew TJ weren't ready to talk on camera. They tell me he was heavily involved with drag racing in the community, and he was always helpful. The family says TJ, his wife, and their 5-year-old son were inside an RV when it flipped in the air during the storm. His wife and son are expected to be okay. The storm wreaked havoc on parts of Ennis.
It was just incredible wind that you just can't even describe.
The roof of the Days Inn along 45 ripped off like tin can.
There's, if you can get in, there's one of them.
Becky works at the hotel and she was inside when it happened. She showed us several rooms where pieces of the ceiling were completely blown off and there was insulation down on top of the bed.
It only lasted about 30 seconds, and then we open the door and we get this.
And further into town, the front facade of the local grocery store, La Grande Supermarket, was laying on the ground.
I feel sad because we didn't expect that.
While we were there, workers were able to seal up the front. And along I-35E, 18-wheeler semis overturned, tossed like toys. Mother Nature rocked this city. Mother Nature broke a family, and now this community must try to make things whole again. In Ennis, I'm Richard Solomon.
Well, now to a different type of weather warning. By now, you might have heard about the mass layoffs that hit NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Many scientists and politicians are now voicing their fears about potential interruptions to our nation's weather forecast. Last week, CNN's MJ Lee met with a fired weather scientist who worries about his own future and the future of his field.
Right now, the wind's 13 miles an hour.
Andy Hazelton is a hurricane hunter.
And you were saying there's like a version of this on the plane.
Oh yeah, a much more sophisticated version of it, you know. With,
okay.
You know, there's anemometers and all sorts of instruments, radar and things like that.
As a physical scientist working at the National Hurricane Center in Miami, he has flown into the eye of the storm countless times, including catastrophic hurricanes Helene, Dorian, and Ian.
You know, you basically fly through the storm 3 to 4 times, and then the forecasters are getting that data in real time. They're using that for their advisories to tell people, hey, this is where the storm is, this is how strong it is.
But as of last week, Andy is out of a job.
And your last day was Thursday?
Last Thursday, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
He was one of the hundreds of employees at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, whose roles were abruptly terminated as part of the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to drastically slim down the federal government. And it's not just hurricane forecasting. Most divisions of NOAA, which researches everything from the weather to oceans to biodiversity, were affected by the cuts, raising alarm bells across the scientific community about the potential impacts on public safety and the economy.
This is Biscayne Bay. We're out of the Black Point Marina. Right there at that point there is right where Hurricane Andrew, the center of it, made landfall back in 1992.
Andrew was the strongest hurricane to hit South Florida in 1992, only the 4th Category 5 hurricane that century to make landfall in the U.S., leaving in its path catastrophic destruction.
This is the track forecast error.
In the 30-plus years since Hurricane Andrew, Andy and scientists like him have helped make huge improvements to hurricane modeling and forecasts.
Your 5-day here is only 100 miles off.
When he wasn't out on storm flight missions, Andy built codes and graphics that helped predict the path and strength of future hurricanes.
A 5-day forecast now is as accurate as a 1-day forecast in Hurricane Andrew. So think about that. You know, you have 5 days to prepare versus 1. You can convince people to evacuate. You can do a lot more things to prepare your home.
So we've really come a long way.
We have.
Right up until he was fired, Andy says he and his colleagues had been busy preparing for the upcoming hurricane season just a few months away. Now he is entirely unsure what the mass firings at NOAA will mean for the unfinished work.
Do you worry that we are about to go backwards when it comes to the science?
I do. I mean, I hope, I know that the colleagues that I still have there, they're going to work hard and do their best. But, when you have few people in places that are already understaffed, it just gets harder and harder.
And as he wonders about his own future, Andy, like so many Floridians, is also wondering about the next hurricane.
What does it mean for you that you can't do the work that you want to be doing?
I worry for the safety of the people here, my friends, my neighbors, our family, and across the board. I mean, here in South Florida, like I said, we've been pretty lucky since Andrew, but if we look historically, that luck won't last forever.
Well, as severe weather season approaches, this is a great time to remind you to have multiple ways to get notifications in the incoming days or weeks. With this week's Weather Impact Report, I'm meteorologist Danielle Moss.